What's up, gentlemen? This is Rising Phoenix Podcast, a podcast about how to rise up after your divorce. I'm your host, divorce coach Michael Rhodes. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the show. This is episode 126. So this episode, I wanted to do a little bit of an intro because there is not an intro, so to speak. This was the Thanksgiving Zoom meetings that occurred. There were two meetings, one at 11 a.m. Eastern, I believe it was, and one at 6 p.m. Eastern. And there was no like formal introduction. We just sort of started rolling. So I wanted to do a little bit of a tiny bit of an intro here just to sort of explain what you're hearing. And what you're hearing essentially is a Discord meeting. This is the large majority of the folks that you're going to hear during this episode are people that are subscribers that are in the Discord and that attend meetings on a regular basis. So this isn't all that we talk about in meetings. Sometimes we just shoot the shit. But especially when there's someone who is sort of going through it, we try to help them as best we can. I will say that we collectively could have done a much better job at holding space for David and giving him, this is what men do. And I was, when I listened back, I knew it in the moment, but then I listened back and I was like, I participated in it too. We're so uncomfortable, I think, with men crying that we immediately jump in, and we do it sort of under the guise of, oh, we want to comfort and you want to soothe. But I really honestly think it is that shouldn't say can't. We don't like this to see people cry. It's very uncomfortable. And so I wish collectively we would have done a better job of holding space for David, but we're learning, we're trying, we're growing. But this is essentially what you're going to see inside or in a Discord meeting, should you decide to join up. And I think I've said before, but it's $5 a month. And if you're interested, hit me up. Right now, there are about 50 couple men in the Discord server. Not everyone attends meetings. One of the other things we do besides those meetings, I mean, there's much more to the Discord. I really should probably update. I do have a tutorial video. If you go to my YouTube channel, it covers the Discord, but it's old. It's still relevant, but it is a little old. I should probably do a new one. But we also have book club, and we have meetings discussing the books. Right now we're reviewing the book Attached. So it's just a really great resource if you're struggling and you're trying to grow and learn. For divorced men, I don't think there's a better resource on a fucking planet. And for $5 a month, it's a fucking bargain. And there's some really great men, as you'll hear in this episode. There are some nuggets of wisdom that are dropped, some words of wisdom that are dropped in this one that are just perfect in some ways. And so I hope that it helps you. I hope it gives you a better idea of sort of what we do in the Discord. And then part two of this, so I'm not sure if I said I had to, it was two meetings. I said that it ended up being about 2.5 hours of footage. And I had to, I edited it down the first part of it, and it was still at you'll see about 55 minutes. And so I thought, I could do like a 2.5 hour episode, but I'd rather cut it in half and just do half at a time. And the tone of the meetings are slightly different. The second meeting, the part two that you'll hear probably later this week, is more around the podcast. It's still a meeting. It's still guys hanging out and talking, but we also cover the podcast a little bit. So in terms of stats and things of that nature, and as a reminder, this is Thanksgiving, not this, but Thanksgiving is the birthday of the podcast. So this thing's been going for 3 years. Sometimes that blows my fucking mind when I think about it, but I'm incredibly proud. I'm incredibly thankful of all of you that listen. The last thing I want to cover is, I said, I try to be as transparent as possible. So I said last episode, I think it was, that I'm going to have 2 slots open for coaching. I'm now down to 1. So I'm happy to say that someone signed up over the weekend, and he's starting his journey with me. Today is his first day in the program. So I'm super, super excited for that. That means I got 1 slot left, $600. You can pay over 6 months. The program lasts 4 months. We can also do one-on-one. One-on-one is part of the Forged by Fire program. But if you wanted to do more of a therapist style and we just talk and pick things individually for you to focus on to work on, we can do that too. Again, it'll be same price, $100 a month. I'm doing a different format than I did before. So I'm using the app Marco Polo, not using a Facebook group. I want to see how that goes. I'm hoping it's a little bit more intimate in a way, a little bit more interaction that's, it's direct instead of a larger group. And we'll try it this way. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to helping this guy move on in his journey, because he's about 2 years out and he still has his struggles, and so I'm excited to help him. So anyway, again, if you're interested in working with me, you know how to find me. So that's all I got for this. I hope you enjoy this one, and part 2 will be out soon. Here we go, episode 126. So I was thinking, I think especially this time of year, loneliness is a motherfucker, right? I thought maybe we'd talk about how we've dealt with that successfully, because sometimes
can I say something? Can I start off with one thing though, Mike? I gotta say,
yeah, absolutely.
I just got done listening to 123 while I went for a walk, and brother, you did not fuck up. Seriously, I really don't think you fucked up.
You mean with her?
In general, you titled that episode "I fucked up," and you didn't.
Well, I think, listen, sometimes I took notes. I did take notes on this one, but I wanted to. So, the I Miss Her episode, the moving on. I think I title these things in a way that sort of sucks people in, which is kind of weird for me to do because I'm not typically that kind of guy. But I titled it that way because I hoped it would draw people in to listen to it and then get tools on how to. But I've fucked up many, many, many times.
Well, we all did, but I don't want you to beat yourself up over that.
No, I mean, I think, oh, wait, 2 people entering the waiting room. Sorry, people, hold on. David.
No, that's very good point, Ian, because to tell people too, your brain doesn't know the difference between you bad mouthing yourself and someone else. It doesn't know.
True.
So
ain't that the truth, Joe? Ain't that the truth?
Your thoughts for yourself, because it makes a difference.
Well, yeah, I think that's almost one of the more important battles or struggles that that needs to be conquered, is that self-talk, and it's more about, I think, especially we go through our lives not paying attention to what we're saying to ourselves. So I think the first step is just to pay attention, to notice, like, oh, that was negative. That's what I teach, is it's not about changing your thoughts. Not right off the bat. You can't fucking do that. I mean, it's a lot harder to do that. First, you got to get just in the habit of just sort of catching and classifying and clarifying your thoughts. Like, oh shit, that was negative, or that wasn't very good, or I wouldn't talk to my friend that way. So if you can start noticing how you talk to yourself, that's step one. But it's not easy because
because we have a whole lifetime of doing it.
Yeah.
And undoing a lifetime of what you've learned is not an easy task.
No, it definitely isn't. Jared, why am I not seeing you? I see that you're in the room, but I'm not seeing I know your camera's off, but I still don't even see you.
Oh.
There
I'm a troglodyte. What can I say?
Who is that? Who is that guy?
Look at that handsome fella.
Who is that guy?
What's up?
David, thank you for joining us. I don't know that we've met. Nice to meet you, sir.
I've just kind of been a member of the group, kind of lingering in the background, and I've watched a couple of your podcasts. I'm kind of, I'm alone here on this Thanksgiving morning without my 3 kids.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, but it's.
Is this the first one?
It is. It's really difficult, and
amen.
I've been going through this now for this will be 7 months that we've been separated. This most recent time we split up and got back together, and then I thought everything was going great, and I wanted to go to therapy over a specific issue, and I talked to her calmly about it and things like that, and then it just kind of exploded, and she kind of left, and not kind of, she did leave, and she didn't want to talk about proceeding with the dissolution or hammering out a parenting plan for the kids. She just lives about 10 houses up.
Wow.
But so it's pretty difficult. And then instead of filing anything or talking to me about it, she said that she started a dating profile for my benefit to show that she was done and just hoped that it would get back to me. And
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty much what everybody said. And so
That's pretty cold. That's pretty cold.
Yeah. It is.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Again,
Years married.
And here's how. Oh, sorry. How long?
17 years married, 19 together. We met in high school, 18, 17 and 18 years old. And so, yeah, I've watched her change into a different person, and I've been really reactive with my words through text messaging. And fast forward now, I have a TPO that I have to fight against, just because I think I was chewing her out about she's dropping the kids off when she feels like, and going on. Before I recognized it, she was using me as, I love having my kids here all the time,
as we all do.
It helps me focus, I suppose. But I found out that she was dropping them off to go on dates and things like that. And so it's heartbreaking, frustrating, and all the above.
No, you're in the thick of it. So you have all of our sympathy and empathy, and more importantly, we understand. Like we've been where you are. 7 months seems
each
like
and every one of us.
Yeah, 7 months seems like a long time, but it's a drop in a bucket. You're in for a journey for sure. It's not always going to be fun. It's going to really suck sometimes, like really, really bad. You're going to feel like hopeless and what's the point and all that negative shit. But I think all of us here can speak to the fact that there is hope. There is good on the other side of this bullshit. But it is bullshit. Make no mistake about it. Don't go into this thinking it's going to magically get better after a year, or if I just get another girlfriend, or it's going to be hard. Not impossible, but it's going to be very hard. But I kind of want to stick to the, and there's a lot to unpack there, David, and you can, I encourage you to join our Discord server, because this is what you're going to see here is kind of what we do when we have these meetings. But I kind of wanted to focus on, so this is your first, David. Some of us, this has been not our first go around on this holiday or any holidays being alone. And I just kind of wanted to get everyone's input into, like, what did you guys do, or what have you done to get through this day in particular, because it's this day, but in general through the holidays. Anybody that wants to chime in first, feel free. But what have you guys done to survive these days?
Practice good masturbation.
Love you, Jared. I love you, man.
I practice that all the time.
No, learn to date yourself and enjoy yourself. Go and do something that you haven't been able to do in a long time that you've wanted to, and date yourself.
That's a good point. I think it can be tough on a day like today to go find things, but
right.
You can watch a movie that maybe she didn't like a certain genre of movies. Well, you don't have that any kind of restriction now. You can watch whatever the fuck you want. You can jerk off in the fucking living room if you want. That's allowed now. I think
the only thing I don't recommend is wearing a Steelers hat in public. Okay.
You son of a bitch. You're just all boastful because they beat the fucking Chiefs. That's all.
Ain't that the truth? 9-1, buddy.
That was a good game. I think for me, I think it's all about, again, like, what am I thinking about? And I could sit here and think about, I'm alone. I am alone today. I don't think I'll see anybody today. I'll probably go out to the store in a little bit, but I could sit here and think about how shitty that is, and how I'm a failure, and how I fucked up, and I'm such a piece of shit. If only I would have done this. I could spiral and go down these rabbit holes of fucking just not self-sabotage, but just like beating the shit out of myself. I could do that. Or I could look at this and go, okay, it is. I don't like going, well, it's just another day. It's not just another day. It is Thanksgiving, but I'm going to see them again. I'm going to see them tomorrow, probably. Well, it's my weekend, so I'm definitely going to see them tomorrow at some point. I'm going to have another Thanksgiving where I'm going to have them there. So I try not to focus on, it sounds so cliche and sort of almost bullshitty in a way, I think sometimes. I don't have to focus on how negative this is. I can just focus on what's going to come that is positive. And it's again, it's hard to do, but that's what I do on these days. Yes, I acknowledge it. It's Thanksgiving and I'm alone, and that sucks. But I'm gonna see him tomorrow, and next Thanksgiving is my Thanksgiving, and I won't be alone. So that's kind of how I deal with these types of days.
Yeah, this is my first Thanksgiving without my kids.
Oh, it is.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. How about you, Justin? How do you handle these days?
Alone isn't lonely. They're different. Loneliness and being on your own are two very different things.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, divorce or any major life change, it doesn't matter what the life change is, a death, a major job change, a move, you name it. There's 1,000 different things that can throw your life into turmoil. And that can be really hard. That sucks. When you think about all the things that are different with the wrong lens, that can be really painful. Or you can look at it as the opportunity to build new routines, build new traditions, you know, and it can be anything. It can be so simple. Me, I love spending a lot of time in the woods. And honestly, the number of Thanksgivings, I'm Canadian, so it's not Thanksgiving up here. It's just a random Thursday. But the number of Thanksgivings, I was stuck with a bunch of people that I generally didn't want to spend that much time with. You know, dinner's great, visit for an hour, 6 hours of this crap. No, thank you. I'm going for a hike. I'm going out to the woods with my dogs. I'm doing things I love to do because they self-serve me. And I'm lucky that a lot of my self-serving things are based in solitude in a way. I do enjoy my alone time. And there's a big difference between alone and lonely, and so much of it is perspective.
It took me a year. It took me a year to learn that lesson, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how did you have to get to that point where you saw? Because I agree, you know, again, it's how you look at it, it's your perspective, your lens. But were you always sort of enjoy your solitary time, or did you have to adapt and learn to embrace it?
I always did. I fought it though because I thought I was a weirdo. What do you mean I'd rather be in the woods with my dog and not socializing? Like, what is wrong with me? Nothing. Right. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing is wrong with any of us, right? We're simply broken, flawed humans doing our damnedest. And whatever gets your rocks off, provided you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, is a totally fine way to spend your time, you know? Yeah. It's the new routines can be anything. It doesn't have to be solitude based. It doesn't have to be outdoors. Maybe your new routine, okay, it's Thanksgiving, you don't have a lot of family around, make some frickin' plates and go hand them out to the homeless. You can do so many different things with your time to give it meaning that you can do on your own that are not lonely, you know?
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge a couple folks. Happy Thanksgiving, John and Jim. How are you, brother? And Chris Hodge. Shit, I don't know if you want me to edit Chris saying your name out in this one or not, but it's good to see you, Chris. Chris is he's one of the workhorses on the admin team. He's a fucking beast. I love Chris. Joe, how about you, my friend? What are you doing to deal with the lonely?
Ooh, that took a lot of time to get used to. More of a learning experience, trying to figure out what I enjoyed doing my time then. But just I would almost call it exploration of what does Joe what makes him happy, and learn that again. That took me a long time to figure out different things to keep me busy. You know, taking the dog out for a walk. I do a lot of cooking on the weekends, or just go out for a hike. Like Justin said, take the dog out. That's awesome. Take yourself out to eat. You know, if you like doing that, just go out, get some ice cream, get out of the house. That was probably one of the worst things for me, is get out of the house and just make it something. It don't got to be big or at all, but keep yourself busy, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes what guys really need early on, especially in westernized culture where there's so much of this ingrained happy wife, happy life bullshit, men are meant to be, you know, dutiful workhorses that get it done and don't complain, and all the societal bullshit that gets piled on. I think a lot of guys just need a little bit of permission to be the slightest bit selfish. You have to honor your commitments. You know, your kids need to be above yourself. If you're a religious man, probably put your God above yourself. But yourself should come before just about everybody else in your life, you know, and just not an unhealthy selfishness, but just no, I can do what's best for me. I can look for what I really need. And early on in the process, I think a lot of guys just need that permission. Like, no, it's cool. It's cool to be the slightest bit selfish and figure out who you are, what you need, what works for you, what doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I like Joe. You said it's a journey. Man, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at it like that, it can become almost exciting in some ways. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I get to do whatever the fuck I want to figure out who the fuck I am, and there is some excitement in that. It gives you sort of a confidence that like you don't need someone to feel whole, and this is again, a journey is absolutely the right description, because it's not going to happen in a day. You're going to be like, oh, this is great, I'm alone and I can figure out. No. You got to get comfortable with just that, even that process of thinking that this is exciting. Because I think if you give yourself permission to get excited, sometimes it could feel scary or not. Maybe not scary is the right word, but it feels like you're a betrayal in some ways, because you're still trying to hold, especially in the beginning, you're still trying to hold on to what was, because that's what your brain knows. It's like that, but that was my life and that's what I want. And I was happy. But as they say, shit in one hand and wish in the other. And what are you going to get? Like, unfortunately, you have to get to the point where you're like, you know what? I don't have any other fucking choice. I wish it wasn't this way. I do. I think we all probably could think that. I don't relate to folks that sometimes post in this group and they're like, oh, I'm free. I'm like, yeah, okay, good for you. Like they made the decision and all that. I can't, that shit rubs me the wrong way. And I get it. Everyone's got their own shit and whatnot. But that I can't jive with that.
That's tough guy cover up is what that is.
I think a lot of that is too. Yeah. I think we see too much of that. But again, I just want to pause. Lonnie, happy Thanksgiving, fellas. Thanks for stopping in. Who haven't we heard from in terms of loneliness? Ian, what do you do besides find chicks in Long Island?
I'll tell you what, right now I almost wish I didn't have plans with my family, because I would have gotten together with you, because we're close enough, man.
I know.
I would have done a Thanksgiving with you in a heartbeat. I would have thrown a bird on the smoker and had some fun. But hey, that is what it is. Maybe next year. Yeah, it took me close to a year to learn what Justin said, that there's a huge difference between alone and lonely. And it took a while, and everyone's got their own thing. I just say find your thing, whatever that is for you. And no one can give you suggestions. No one can tell you what it is. You've got to find that thing that drives you, that makes you say, this is okay, that I can do this and I can live my life and I can enjoy my life, that I don't have to have a partner on my arm. We want it. We all want it, but we don't have to have it.
No, it's not a necessity.
Learning all this stuff was the huge, probably the biggest thing in my life, and it took me 56 years to get here. And honestly, I can honestly say that this divorce was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have said that a year ago, right?
Oh my God, I was fucking crushed.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of us, I was fucking crushed. I thought the world ended. And I spent months sitting on my ass in front of the TV and the couch alone, going, woe is me, woe is me.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it started to click. And it clicked because of this group and the podcast and the video chats and realizing I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. I've got some of the best friends in the world now.
Amen.
Well, since I've met you, you've come such a long way. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I love hearing that, and I feel it, and I can acknowledge it to myself too. And spend all those years playing the tough guy, being, as you put it, Justin, the dutiful husband. Doing my job. My role in life was to take care of the family, and whatever I wanted didn't fucking matter. Well, now it matters.
Let's hone in on that. Let's hone in on that, because I think I always feel like there's this danger when you can get sort of that mentality and take it a little too far. And what I'm saying is be bitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, this was all her fault, and it's society's fault, and we're all fucked, and nobody cares for men and all that kind of shit, right? I think there's a real danger in that. There's sort of a fine line where you go from sort of confident and self-assured, but you can slip into this, I think, this bitterness and fuck everybody type of mentality. I know I've definitely had that in moments, you know.
Sure.
You know, and so how do you guys sort of keep from going too far with your independence and your bitterness, or not bitterness, but your anger? Because your anger is a natural part of this in general. I think some guys do struggle to get to there. I think most do not, because we're men. It's the emotion we lean on. But how do you guys sort of balance that, where being alone can make you bitter, but if you like, how do you sort of square that circle? How do you not allow yourself to get too bitter?
I'd like to get there. I'm angry all the time, to be perfectly honest. I'm in the sit on my ass, watch TV and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I do feel lonely. I feel betrayed, and you know, all the above. So for me, it's anger is just, it's like that's the only thing that keeps from complete loneliness, is that anger seems to be my constant companion. So
yeah, well, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, Dave, have you started listening to Mike's podcast?
I have. I've listened to a few of the videos recently that were posted, like on the YouTube channel and whatnot.
Just start at number one, and like what worked for me, right? What worked for me, and I have to walk my dog. I've got 2 dogs that require. We've got a habit of twice a day walking each dog. You know, I'm over an hour twice a day. So I just got into a habit of putting the earbuds in, and while I'm walking, I listen. Between the podcast, some audiobooks, there's a ton of great recommendations of audiobooks, or of books in general.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us choose to do them by audio because it's just easier. That will help you get your mindset into a better place. Yeah. Okay. It takes work. It ain't easy.
Yeah, no, okay. you can't sit around, and I'm not saying this because you said you sit on the couch, but, and I'm not trying to bust your balls, but you can't sit around and hope for things to just get better. It's not, right. There's no magical, like, oh, one day I don't believe that. Not without work. But it's hard.
You make it better.
It's hard.
It is absolutely a very deliberate and conscious choice to make it better.
And some days are going to fucking suck, and you're going to feel like, oh, I've made no progress. Bullshit. You can't take steps backwards if you didn't take them forward. Don't ever forget that. So when you have a bad day, don't discount the growth that you did have. But it's hard. Right. It's hard to sort of get that motivation, because right now, so this is my take on it, but this anger that you're feeling is just protection. And it's normal and natural, and it's what we do as men. You're very hurt. And so your default to deal with that hurt is to get angry. We all do it, because feeling that pain is so fucking scary, and you're not supposed to, you're not allowed to, you're not supposed to cry. Don't be a bitch, man up. All these fucking stupid fucking things that we hear is why yeah, me too. You've been conditioned to be like this, and that's not your fault. That's society, but you have to make a choice to take moments to get underneath that anger and really dig in and go, well, what am I really angry about? Well, she hurt me, she broke me. And then you start touching those soft parts of yourself that allow yourself to cry. I know it sounds cheesy, right? But if you can't heal it, or if you can't feel it, you can't heal it. And you have to feel it. And that includes some fucking many, many tears, unfortunately. And it's scary, and it's lonely, and it's shitty. But if you do that, you're going to get past this, and you're not going to walk around bitter and angry for the rest of your life. And what
became very liberating was accepting what was my role in this, because you can't do anything about what was her part of it.
Amen.
You cannot change a goddamn thing about that. But you can look at what was your role. Where did you go wrong, and how can you make yourself better and stronger?
Yeah.
If you start focusing on that, it's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, because again, you can't do anything about what she did. I gotta emphasize this. You can't emphasize it enough. The only thing you can do is what you can control is yourself. That's it. It's the only thing you can focus on and change and work on. And again, it's hard. It's hard, because that means that you might be responsible for what occurred.
Would say what
you are
partially.
Right, I am for sure.
But that's empowering. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
What really helped me with that, like I've been where you're at, David, is I have all those thoughts in my head. Get them out. If you got to write them out on paper, what's fine. Just physically doing that made a huge difference for me. And you talked about the marriage counseling or the counseling. Go by yourself. That'll make a huge difference. Having someone to
I'm in therapy for sure. I deal with neurodivergence, which doesn't help. You
have it
on stuff.
You deal with that yourself, you said?
Yes, neurodivergence. Yeah, I've got ADHD, depression, anxiety, and recently added to the impressive resume was PTSD over this relationship.
Sure.
So yeah, and like I said, I'm in therapy.
Good.
Weekly. So it's it's really tough because it's almost like all of these regular feelings. I don't know how to express it other than what somebody might feel. A typical person. It's like amplified in me, which makes it even harder to, I'm trying like hell. I am.
That's all that matters. That's all you can do.
Crying daily is, it sucks, man.
But it's okay. It's okay to cry. Yep. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. And tell you what, I can't stress highly enough. I can't recommend highly enough getting in the Discord server with us every Wednesday night. Without fail, we're doing a chat, and a lot of Friday nights. Friday nights don't always happen, but it's literally every Wednesday night we're video chatting and we're supporting each other, and we'll helping each other out because we all need it.
There every Friday night as well. Just not everyone joins me.
Yeah, true, true. Fridays tend to be a little harder, but definitely Wednesday nights, and it's it's a better place to vent there than it is in the Facebook group. It's just it's that much more supportive.
It's a different animal. Speaking of that, Mr. Wasson, hello, sir. How are you, my friend?
Hey guys, how are you?
How are you, Ryan?
Doing well, man. I have my kids here. New place, have the kids here. My girlfriend's here. We're getting ready to head over to my parents in a little bit, so can't stay long. But as promised, I will definitely show up when asked.
So
happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
Same to you guys.
So Ryan is someone who's gone on this journey with us from pretty much the beginning. Most of these guys, Justin and Ryan, were very early on in this process, and
yeah,
I think Brian, you can speak on your own behalf. I mean, how are you from? And I know this, but I want your perspective because it's you from beginning of this shit show to now. Can you talk about your growth, what's happened, where you're at?
It's been close to 3 years.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
I mean, it started with just, maybe 5-10 of us at most on Zoom calls.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a disaster. My whole journey started, I had lost 30 pounds, wasn't sleeping, literally 2 hours a night, and those were broken sleeps. And I did that for months. These guys were really the only outreach that I had, and they understood, you can talk to people, and even my close group of friends, a lot of them couldn't offer the support that was truly needed. And that's not anything negative on them, but, unfortunately we're part of this new club that's not very cool. It needs a specific kind of support. And I really stayed my course. I dedicated myself to, initially, working on a marriage. And then, from there, I filed just because I had to, mentally, emotionally, physically. I could not go any further. I was a wreck. Long story short, moved in with my parents, rebuilt my life kind of got myself together over a year, gave myself very dedicated, strict, not, New Year's is coming. I have a New Year's resolution. How many of us I'm going to the gym, and that doesn't happen. So I gave myself very specific goals. The first year I basically was going to get my mind right and, get myself back emotionally, which I did. Second year, my goal was to, get a new job, which I did. And then that third year was to get a new house for me and the kids, and I did. now I'm doing very well. It's not that I don't have bad days, because we all have bad days, but focusing on me, focusing on my kids, and just rebuilding my life. And say I do have bad days or bad moments. I'm unpacking, I'm finding, I kept cards and I kept notes that my ex had written me. I'm finding all this stuff. And I went through some stuff last night that I hadn't seen in, probably 5-6 years. And I'm like, oh, that hits. But, it's, if you've seen my posts, it's like this really shitty roller coaster ride. And, we've all done this, and eventually you hit that big drop, and that big drop, you'll know when you hit it. But we all know after that big drop, you're coming to the end of the ride, and you hit the tunnel, and there's a light at the end of that tunnel, is the metaphor that I use very often. And I don't know if I'm to the end, but I can definitely see the light, and it's gets so much better. And you just stay your course. I've done it. I've kind of dedicated everything to having my kids being proud of me. If if they ever ask what's going on, or what happened, or I just, to be able to hold my head high is kind of what I've the mantra that I've kept. And it's, Mike and I met for the first time face to face last month or 2 months ago, and it's just it's amazing just how far we've come, and most of the guys have came, and it's not over. It's been a very bumpy ride, and this sucks. I would never wish this upon anybody. And it's I'm going through some stuff right now we're basically doing away with child support, or we're going to ask the courts to do away with child support. I was receiving it, and it's like very little. So I'm going through that right now. Hopefully that just is granted. And then I just want to be fully done with everything. I don't want to have to deal with her or anything. So yeah, I mean, that's in a very, there's much more than that, but in a nutshell, that's it. And yeah, so
I mean, I think a large part of it is really just setting that intention. Like, I'm going to, like, I love that this for the first year I'm going to do this, and this year I'm going to do this. I think you have to set that intention. Like, you have to set goals, and they can be small. They don't have to be large, like get a new job, but you have to sort of set an intention. I'm going to improve or get better, whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
Do whatever you need to do to get there.
That for me, that new job thing, that led to, like, I needed a new job in order to get a house. And although I had a good job, it wasn't going to afford me to be able to support my kids. And so that was what I dedicated myself to. And, and the job came to me. It wasn't the company I'm working for, I'd never heard of, but through a friend, I got the position, and I'm flourishing. I love my job, which, I think that's a hard thing for a lot of us to say. But yeah, I think, set right from the get-go. And I just came across these last night, right where my separation started. I physically wrote down my faults in the marriage, and I attacked them. I went step by step. I love lists. I love spreadsheets. I love to be able to track things. And I attack those faults, because I can control myself and my actions. So, that's one thing. When I came up with these, this is what I want to do this year. This is what I want to do, the next year, and the new job thing, that was that, they say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, most of my unhappies are because of lack of money. So, you know, and that new job, I mean, just, it really afforded me, and not that I'm not going to struggle as a single father of 3, but, you know, it afforded me to move. So yeah, set those goals to make, you know, to better your life and to move forward in the situation.
Well, I'm being a single dad of 4 for a couple of years.
Wow. Thankfully for me, I haven't really had to deal with that because my kids are older, and you know, I in a way, I count myself very lucky that I haven't had to deal with that, because I hear all your struggles, and I'm so thankful that my kids weren't younger when this happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately, they saw it all happening. They knew, and they knew for probably 6-7 years that it was going to happen. Yeah. You know, it was just a matter of when. So they witnessed a very unhealthy relationship for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, but I don't have to deal with the custody and the shared weekends and this and that thing. I consider myself very lucky.
Jimmy, welcome. And I'll say this, you know, and it's not to, there are a few folks in this chat right now that don't have kids, and, you know, it's not a knock on those guys that don't, because I'm not saying it's not hard when you don't have kids. It's still hard. It's still a loss.
Oh yeah.
It's hard, but man, that kid's part is fucking, that makes it, because you like, just for instance, Justin, and not to call you out or anything, but when's the last time you seen your ex-wife?
Oh man, 2 weeks after we separated. It's been 27, 28 months, over 2 years now. It's every challenge, every situation has its own challenges, right? Like I don't have children. I can't possibly imagine how hard it would be to co-parent with somebody who hates your guts. That's got to be a bit of a challenge. And I can't imagine, you know, the flip side is not having kids, and now being a young divorcee, I'm sort of seeing it on the other side. I married because I wanted children. You know, I wouldn't have married if I didn't want kids. I knew it was potential to be a raw deal if anything ever went wrong. And now being a divorcee and seeing, you know, the reality of marriage, I don't know whether I ever will have children because, you know, life, right? So every divorce comes with its own set of bullshit. You know, some people co-parent very, very well. Some people it's absolutely disastrous. Some people have relatively easy property splits. Other people, it's a freaking shit show. Like every single divorce story has its own challenges, and they're all very, very different, but there's always these common trends, right? And I think an important thing to keep in mind, especially for the guys that are early in the process, right, is like our brains are literally biological computers, and they get used to running this certain operating system, quite literally. You know, it's the same reason attachment theory is actually a thing. So it takes time to reprogram all those connections. It takes time for your neurons in your brain to go, oh, I am alone on Thanksgiving, but that's not a disaster, you know, to reach baseline. You literally are taking the time to reprogram your brain, but it's not just a time thing. It takes effort. Because just time passing doesn't do a damn thing unless you're putting the work in to make that time mean something. So it's a game of actions, right?
Gospel, dude. That's the gospel truth.
To the points that many of you guys have already raised, like those actions can be both big and super small. The little things. My life is fucking chaos. I can't figure this all out, but the dishes need done. Well, shit, do the dishes, man. Like if it's an obvious win that's going to improve your life, sometimes those new habits are very, very small, and sometimes they're huge. Sometimes it is a move. Sometimes it is a new job, but it's the effort that gets us reward from the time put in.
Yeah, no, I couldn't say it any better myself, for sure. So David, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to anyway. I mean, what's your biggest struggle right now? You mentioned anger. Is that it, or is there something else that's really sort of fucking with you?
I mean, going between anger and sadness, you know, I like I said, the depression has really kicked my ass a lot. And you know, Justin mentioning the dishes, you know, there are some days where I will side note too, my kids are with me about 75% of the time, because I work from home. I keep them 4 nights at least a week, 4 or 5 nights sometimes. There's usually at least one or two kids here with me. And so I struggle with while having the kids so much, I don't feel like I'm getting the time that I need to just sit down and grieve, or, you know, I feel so overwhelmed because at the end of the day, and it's like they go to mom's at night, you know, on days like that, I'm staring at a sink full of dishes that the sink was empty yesterday, and I'm just like, I don't have the fucking energy to do this. I just can't. So I sit down on the couch and just fucking sit. Sometimes just sit in silence, and then I'll look at the clock and an hour and 15 minutes has gone by, and I don't know. I'm really struck. When the kids are here, I'm focused on them and I'm taking care of them. But it's like anytime that I don't, I struggle with everything, just existing, just.
You got to start small.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Don't go for the brass ring, brother. Just start small.
Yeah,
one little win at a time.
You're looking at the dishes like an elephant. So how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Yep. You're looking at it as a whole picture and you're overwhelming yourself. I did the same thing. I mean, early in my process, I had a hard time getting out of bed. So I would set myself a daily goal. It didn't have to be big. Like, I'm going to put my socks away today in my drawer. And I made sure I always met my goal that day. But some days it would snowball and I was able to accomplish so much more. But I was able to be proud of myself because I made my goal. So instead of looking at the sink full of dishes, just do a couple of them.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all at once.
Yep.
That is still progress. And you're eating that elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Buy some paper plates.
I actually did. I've got paper plates for the really rough days, which have been a lot more, like I said, a lot more recently. I just I want to pull myself out of the funk, and sometimes I try to, but at the same time, it's just like I'm still on autopilot from my old life, and it's just fucking bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
We hear you, man. We've all been there, and we're all with you.
Let that shit out.
You'll hear the universal advice is start small. You can't try to get the big win right away. It's impossible.
Take a moment. That feeling you're feeling right now, feel that. Go ahead. You're amongst brothers here. You want to cry? You go ahead and you fucking do that.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking do it so much. I'm tired of it. It's like it comes on spontaneously, you know.
We're all going to sit and watch you do it, and we're probably going to start crying with you, man.
There's as I don't like to take up space when people are trying to feel their emotions, but I'm going to tell you something that Chris tells me. There's freedom in every fucking tear.
Yeah. Truth.
So one of the things that really helped me, quote I found this last year, I wish I'd known it back then, is not every day is good, but there is good in every day. And that I'm a big silver linings person. And so slowly reprogramming my brain, looking for the good in every day, made my life so much better. And it doesn't have to be a phenomenal silver lining.
Well, and those big emotions, and I'm using the term big because they are big. When those feelings come on, you can't contain them. Those big emotions need to get out. And the healthy way to do it, sorry, it is with a good cry or good physical exertion. And in this space, man, just about every face here, with the exception of the couple new guys on this call, all you guys have seen me cry. It's a healthy, normal thing. There should be zero shame attached to that. Yep. You know, those big emotions got to get out somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good cry or whether it's a good workout, a good hike, an awesome hour on your motorcycle, putting it on paper. Those big emotions have to get out. So let them out. Don't try to bottle that shit, because it's bottling that shit that leads us, so many of us, men, to this point, right? Because you bottle, and then it gets explosive. And that's fucking self-dangerous. Like, that's harming. That's literally, you're fucking your own brain up. So those big emotions have to get out. Embrace it.
Yeah, and you know, you've seen it right now because you immediately felt like, oh, I don't want to do this. I could see you reacting that way, and I'm not knocking you, because that's what we all do, right? We don't really just let it go. We don't, not often enough. So you might have little moments of crying, but I'm guessing you want to stop yourself and like, oh, I don't want to feel this way, and I don't want to cry. And no, dude, let that shit out. Let it out. There is freedom in every drop.
Here for you.
You fucking men. And I know that it sucks to feel like that because you feel vulnerable and you feel weak, but you're not. The motherfucker that never cries is a weak motherfucker.
Ain't that the truth? We all did it. We were all there.
David, man, it gets better.
That's what everybody keeps saying.
I know. It does. And you just got to go through the really, really, really bad stuff first, unfortunately. And I think the best thing to do is to go through that, but learn from it. Get those, like we were just talking about, get those feelings out, talk through things and work through it. This is a traumatic situation. Maybe a lot of us, the hardest situation we've ever been through. And
no question,
with any traumas, it takes time.
Yeah.
It's harder than when my dad died. So that's
we have that in common, my friend. I lost my dad when I was 22. I don't know how old you were, but he was my rock, man. That was my world. That was tough. But this is not this. That was fucking easy compared to this.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
It's finality in that.
Yeah, of course. And again, that little, I say all the time, it's really hard to heal that wound because she's there and the kids are there and it's a constant reminder. And so to Ryan's point, it's literally is, I think it was Ryan, maybe it was Justin. It's reprogramming your brain. Your brain is like, this is my life. Then this is what's supposed to be going on. Where's my wife? I'm a husband, I'm a father, and you're still a father, you're always gonna be a father. But your brain's like, this is what the fuck. And MC McDonald talks about this, sort of like your brain's like a filing system, a filing cabinet. And these sort of memories and events and things that can't be filed because your brain's like, I don't know where to put this. Where do I put divorce and being left by the person who said I do? Like, where the fuck do I file that? And so you're working through all that to figure it out and place it within your brain. That's part of rumination because your brain's like, I don't know. That's PTSD. I don't know what to do with this. What do I do with this? You're just reliving it, and you don't know how to file it away. And it takes time to be able to do that. It takes process. It takes tears for sure. But it's not impossible, as Ryan and many of the guys here are. That's why I do what I do, because it's not just my story. There's a lot of success stories here, not just mine. And if there's one, even that's enough, right? To me, that's enough to keep going. Someone has made it through. But dude, the podcast is littered with success stories. That doesn't mean that anyone was enjoying the journey or the process, but it is possible. Ugh. It is possible.
You know how many times I wanted to tell people, "Fuck you! It doesn't get better." Who the hell are you to tell me this gets better?
It's invalidating. Easier. It's invalidating.
Bullshit. This gets better and easier.
How
do you know? Exactly. But you know what? Here I am. Yeah. Here I am. Yeah. I'm telling you because I was in the same place, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I cried. My kids saw me cry for the first time in their lives. 2 years ago, they saw me cry. Okay. And I didn't care. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because that first cry made it okay for me to move forward. Yep. And learn and grow and heal very intentionally. You'll get there, man. You will get there.
Just don't give up.
I mean, the reason that I haven't, if I'm going to be completely honest, that's the only thing that's pulled me out of the darkest of places. And I'm sure some of you might be able to relate, but man, it's you're right. Anytime somebody says it gets better, my first instinct is you don't fucking even have a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Because she future faked the shit out of me. Yeah. The week that she left, I had ordered an engagement ring because she wanted to renew vows and all this other shit, and it was just complete horse shit. And I was with her longer than I was by myself. I met her at 17 years old, and here I am, 37, and nothing feels normal.
We're good, man.
Okay. And it won't for a while.
If you go on the podcast, episode 106, that's the one I'm on. I talk about a lot of my early struggles and how I dealt with it. there might be some good info for you there as well.
Can I say one thing real fast?
Absolutely.
David, if I want you in the Discord channel, you have to be there.
So I guess I'd have to figure it out.
I got you, brother. You're in my pocket right now. I want to see you there. I want to see you there.
There's a learning curve to Discord, but it's not that bad. I think everyone here, everyone here except for Brian, who just joined us, is in the Discord. Jimmy, sorry if I didn't say hi. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm a troglodyte, and I figured it out. So
it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not bad. I want to say a couple things. There's a couple folks in the chat. Lonnie was saying a few minutes ago that he's sitting there crying with us, and yeah, again, there's freedom in every drop. I believe that. Richard, how are you, sir? And it is good for the kids to see you cry. Obviously, you don't want to be, curl up in a ball and incapacitated. But if you have some tears and you shed them in front of the kids, it doesn't make you a failure, or it's not a bad example to set. I don't know if you have boys, but if you have boys, it's a fucking excellent example to set, because we unfortunately, all of us have been told for a very long time not to cry, and it's to our detriment.
Yeah.
So I don't know the ages and the genders of your children, but if you cry in front of them, that's okay, man. It's okay.
And I just want to give a shout out to Lonnie as well, because I know he's watching. That guy is a fucking legend. I remember watching him come in on his first. He was doing a lot of videos. I loved watching him. Yeah. And the progress he's made. You're awesome, Lonnie.
Yeah. I haven't spoke to him in a little while, but he is awesome. He reached out on more than one occasion to let me know that someone was struggling, like suicidal struggling, and I have the power of being the admin in that group, and I can rally the troops. But if I'm not aware of the situation, and so Lonnie has pointed more than one occasion, pointed some things out to me, and Richard as well. Richard has messaged me and said, "Hey, this guy is struggling," and so. Never forget that as in the admin, I have the power of the @everyone tag, and I can rally the troops. And so if you see someone struggling, don't hesitate to reach out. And if that includes you, send me a private message, and I'll do an @everyone and say, this guy needs some love and support. Let's send him some friend requests.
Even if you just report the post to the admins, it sends us all. It does send us all a message. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's where the group is, strength in numbers. It sometimes I wish we use it a little bit differently than we do sometimes, but there absolutely is good that comes from that. But I can't. None of us can take any action if we don't know, and so that's why it's important to be able to provide a space where it's okay for someone to reach out and say, I'm really struggling, because you are going to struggle through this process. There's no fucking doubt. It sucks. But again, if you listen to the podcast enough, you're going to hear success stories, and that's that's part of the reason I do it. They exist. You can survive this. You can become better, believe it or not, shockingly as that is. And yes, when you hear that in the beginning, you're like, go fuck yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have my experience. My experience is different. And there's some truth to that, because everyone is different, but there's enough similarities that I think, and that's why I do Real Men Real Stories, because not everyone's story will resonate with you, but there absolutely will be one where it's like, oh shit, he was with her for 17 years too, or whatever the case may be. And he had the same scenario and he survived. So as much as it's hard to believe, or maybe impossible, when you're in the thick of it, to hear something like it gets better, but it does. But it takes work. People think it just give it time. I hate that fucking advice. I really do. Because if you just sit on your ass and do nothing, time does nothing for you. And then that compounds your feelings, because you're like, oh, it's been 6 months, it's not better. Or it's been a year, it's not better. Well, have you done any work? And it sounds like you're obviously dedicated to that. You have a therapist. That's step number fucking 1. So not everyone does that. That's a victory in itself. So you're at least taking some kind of steps or initiative to better yourself. And by the way, if that therapist isn't helping, get another one. It's just like dating. They're not all good. There are some shitty therapists out there. So find a good one. If this one doesn't make you, and they can't, I shouldn't say make you, if this one isn't helping you in some kind of way, hang on a sec, my daughter's calling me. So I'm going to mute myself and say hello to her.
Go for it.
Yeah, there is no time frame on this. I mean, I'm going to pick on Ian because I know him really well, but there's some areas Ian excels at, where I struggle with. And we're about a year different in our divorce processes. And it's vice versa. There's some areas I do great at that he has more of a struggle with.
That's true.
There is no time frame to this at all. And we can learn from each other and help each other through everything.
Guys, I was going to say I have to sign off. I really appreciate all your time today and your guys' words.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome.
I definitely want to join again. So I can coordinate directly through DM through is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Send me a message. I'll get you the link and get you signed up. I'll probably do this again in the evening. In fact, I'm sure of it. It's going to be a little bit more celebratory because this is the 3rd anniversary of this podcast. So I'll be doing this probably 6 p.m. Eastern. I would say I'll probably sign back on. If any of you can join me, that's awesome. If not, that's cool too. I definitely wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for joining us. David, you especially. This crew of guys I know, I don't know you, so it took some fucking courage to sort of step out of your element and sign on today and join this chat. I appreciate it. And don't forget that, a year from now, you're going to be in a much better spot. I promise you that. And not only that, because you took the time to do this, someone else is probably going to see this. And by the way, I'm recording this. If anybody doesn't want this out anywhere, let me know. I'm going to probably have to chop some stuff up. But if you don't want to be on the podcast for this, just let me know. You don't have to do it now. You can send me a message. I'll edit you out or whatever. But if you don't, David, if you leave this intact and this gets out into the world, someone else is going to hear this a year from now. And then they're going to hear your Real Men, Real Stories episode, which I'm going to twist your arm to make you do when you're in a better spot. And then they're going to have some fucking hope.
All right.
So David, just remember, we've got your back, brother. We've got you. And I really hope that we'll see you in Discord. And we're going to help you get through this.
Amen.
We're doing this together, man. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I love you guys. You are my family.
I love you too.
And I can't wait to see you some more. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Since my separation in July of 2019, I have done an incredible amount of work on myself. I've had many different therapists, life coaches, and went through different programs. I've taken all that I've learned and put it into my own program called Forged by Fire. If you are interested in having me help you navigate your divorce, please hit my website, risingphoenixdivorcecoach.com. I look forward to working with you.